Tell me again in detail, O Janardana, of your yoga powers and attributes, for I am not satiated with hearing your life-infusing words. What is Arjuna really asking about? He's saying, in this apparent manifestation, where are you, Sri Krishna? Where is God in all of this? Out of pure compassion for them, dwelling in their hearts, I destroy the ignorance born darkness by the luminous lamp of wisdom. The analogy of the light and the dark, so beautiful, because what is the light actually doing? The light doesn't actually create anything. It reveals what has always been there. The Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to continue from where we left off. In this video, I'm going to talk about why saying that you're just a human being. Oh, you made this little mistake. Oh, you're feeling lazy today in achieving your goals or your ambitions. Why saying that, oh, I'm just a human being? Why that's never good enough? Why that's actually not true? And why that is against understanding Sri Krishna and truth? Because you're not just human. You in your dharma should achieve being the best of the best at something. In that dharma, you should be the best. Always strive, as Sri Krishna explains this in chapter 10. And I'm going to give you my insight into the shlokas I read. And I'm going to have translations on screen directly from this book. And we're just going to get started with chapter 10, shloka 1. The Blessed Lord Sri Krishna said, "Once again, O mighty armed, listen to my supreme word. Out of desire to do you good, I wish to speak of it to your absorbing delight. Neither the host of the Devas nor the great rishis know my origin, for in every respect I am the source of the Devas and the great rishis." This is so important to understand that a fish doesn't understand water. In the same way that we don't understand consciousness, a fish is absorbed in water. It is made of water. It's breathing water. The water's passing through it. And without water, it becomes unconscious. It struggles to survive. And just like that, when you're in it, you're absorbed in it. You are practically it itself. You can't understand it. It's the same thing. Even science doesn't have a real answer as to what consciousness is because of this nature. He who knows me as unborn, beginningless, and the great Lord of the worlds, he among mortals is undiluted and freed from all sins. Intellect, wisdom, non-delusion, patience, truth, self-restraint, calmness, pleasure, pain, birth, death, fear, and fearlessness. Okay, very interesting what he's doing right now. We're going to get to another one. Non-injury, equanimity, contentment, austerity, charity, fame, and ill fame. These different qualities of beings arise from me alone. What is Sri Krishna describing? He's describing the duality, which is this prakriti, which is this nature that is presented to us. Without up, you have no down. Without left, you have no right. Without good, you have no evil, and vice versa. This reality, everything has its equal and its opposite. That's why you live in duality. That's the literal reason why Sri Krishna is saying that. Now, to the highest extent, what is the understanding here is that even if the apparent nature is dual, it comes from a singular place. And that is where we are trying to get at, that there is something beyond this apparent duality. The 7 great rishis and the 4 ancient manus endowed with my power were born by my mind, and from them have come forth all the creatures in the world. This intelligent creation. He who knows in truth the glory and power of mine is endowed with unfaltering yoga. Of this there is no doubt. Remember that once you understand the ultimate truth, once you have a peek at even a sliver of this Brahman in its understanding, everyone will claim that, oh, you are Brahman, you always were Brahman. But no, in a relative sense, when you've slightly had that divine feeling, it's like a new color, a new emotion. And if you know what I'm talking about, that it's unmistakable. Unfaltering yoga is guaranteed because your life fundamentally changes. It changes your reality. It changes the way you see the world. I am the origin of all. From me, all things evolve. The wise know this and adore me with all their hearts. With their minds fixed on me, with their life absorbed in me, enlightening each other and ever speaking of me, they are contented and delighted. Now, Sri Krishna, once again, constantly within the Gita, I mean, if you watch my previous videos, I'm also making a big deal out of this. Fixed on me. He's constantly going back to this idea of focus. Constantly. Unwavering consistency within the Gita. Focus, focus, focus. And focus leads you to the highest. To them ever devout worshiping me with love, I give the yoga of discrimination by which they come to me. The results of focus is the ability to discriminate between this apparent dualistic nature for that singular source, for that ultimate truth. Out of pure compassion for them, dwelling in their hearts, I destroy the ignorance born darkness by the luminous lamp of wisdom. Such a beautiful line. Out of pure compassion, it's not so technical. It's felt, it's practiced, it's lived through. Only read as much books as you want. You won't get to that real feeling of compassion without deliberate, real world focus, real world time, dedication, that hard work for that yoga. And the ignorance born darkness and the luminous lamp of wisdom, the analogy of the light and the dark, so beautiful because what is the light actually doing? The light doesn't actually create anything. That's what's beautiful about the analogy. It reveals what has always been there. And that's what you have to understand from analogies with the light. When the light reveals this ever present bliss, this infinite Brahman, always there. It just needs that awareness, just needs that shining light. That's all it takes. It's a matter of perspective, but it's not a matter of creation. That's what that is getting towards. Arjuna said, "You are the supreme Brahman, the supreme abode, the supreme purifier, the eternal divine Purusha, the primitive deity, the unborn, the omnipresent." Okay, Arjuna's flexing his knowledge. All the rishis have thus acclaimed you as also the Deva Rishi Narada, as also Asita, Devala, and Vyasa. And now you yourself say it to me. I hold as true all that you say to me, O Kesava. Neither the Devas nor the Danavas, O Lord, know verily your manifestation. Verily you alone know yourself by yourself, O Sri Krishna, O source of beings, O Lord of beings, O God of gods, O ruler of the world. Verily you alone know yourself by yourself. And the same goes for you. Sri Krishna throughout the Gita is making all these equivocations. You don't forget about the equivocations, right? He's going to do it again. He's going to do it again in this chapter, but he's already done it before in the Gita. He's saying, "Oh, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this." And we're going to get it today. He's going to go on that tirade once again in chapter 10. But you alone know yourself by yourself, and that goes with you as well. Condescend to tell without reserve of your divine glories, by which glories you remain pervading all these worlds. How may I know you, O Yogin? By constant meditation? In what various aspects are you, O Lord, to be thought of by me? Tell me again in detail, O Janardana, of your yoga powers and attributes, for I am not satiated with hearing your life-infusing words. What is Arjuna really asking about? He's saying, in this apparent manifestation, in this world of Prakriti, of this dualistic nature and of many different variety of life, where are you, Sri Krishna? Where is God in all of this? And Sri Krishna is going to give a very beautiful theme. Throughout the Gita is internal, internal, internal. And now we're getting into the external. And through this internal external interaction, we're going to have some type of cohesion and that they lead into the next in continuity with each other. And now we're going to learn about how to identify that from the external perspective. The Blessed Lord Sri Krishna says, "Very well, I shall now tell you my divine glories according to their prominence, O best of the Kurus. There is no end to the detail of my manifestation." Now, Sri Krishna is going to break it down. He is going to say what is the ultimate theme of his manifestation in this apparent world. "I am the self, O Gurakesa, seated in the hearts of all beings. I am the beginning, the middle, and also the end of all beings." Okay, so first he has established that he is in everything and he is also time itself. Okay, big scope. He's establishing that very quickly. He's saying that to him, kind of revisiting this whole thing from the beginning of the Gita, and now we're going to get further in to the particularity. "Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of the luminaries, the radiant sun. I am Marichi of the Maruts. Of the asterism, the moon am I." He is he in the clouds, in the skies. He is that which is the most prominent, that which you see immediately when you see the sky. That which is so important that you gravitate towards it, and it's there. "Of the Vedas, I am the Sama. I am Vasava among the Devas. Of the senses, I am the mind, and among living beings, I am consciousness. Of the Rudras, I am Shankara. Of the Yakshasas and the Rakshasas, I am Kubera. Of the Vasus, I am Pavaka, and of the mountains, I am Meru." The Rakshasas that influence you, that are evil, that do not do this discrimination, all these different things. If you really are making such equivocations to all of existence, you do have to consider yourself as a part of the red, as a part of this apparent evils. Kubera is the king of wealth. And the king of wealth, what does wealth do? Wealth provides us, it is able to take us to higher places because it is able to secure so much for ourselves. Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. And that artha is very important because that provides us with that security. It provides us with that understanding of wealth. It creates the environment in order to have peace, in order to learn about peace, and to be able to ultimately meditate. So Kubera is important and wealth is important. "Of priest, O Partha, know me to be the chief, Brihaspati. Of generals, I am Skanda, and of bodies of water, I am the ocean. Of the great rishis, I am Bhrigu. Of utterance, I am the monosyllable Om. Of yajnas, I am the Japa Yajna, and of unmoving things, I am the Himalayas." The monosyllable Om, the best of the mantras, that which encompasses all the different chakras, all the different layers of reality in total equanimity. Om, describing this entire consciousness, this entire conscious state, the waking, the dreaming, and the dark sleep. And then that Turiya, that underlying principle that holds all those other three modes that create this entire apparent existence. It holds it all together. And that's what makes Om so powerful. It is the best of the mantras. It is the reason why we start with the syllable Om with almost all mantras. And of the yajnas, I am Japa Yajna. I was talking to my guru one day, and I said, when life gets good, how do you really keep up with these rituals? You're so focused when life is mediocre, or maybe you're going through a tough time, and then when life gets good, you get distracted by this event, you have this relationship, you're doing these things. And I was like, what is the advice here? And the advice was that the rituals and stuff, that's fine. Those things are appearing and coming and going, and they're for things and whatnot. But there's nothing more important than the japa. The japa is what pushes you forward ultimately. And it is a responsibility that if you've taken that diksha, which I have, that if you've taken that diksha, that is the most important thing in your life. It is the life essence of your spirituality. That was a very powerful thing. Now, no matter what is happening in my life, good or bad, you always carry that japa bag. You always get ready to do some rounds in the car or whatever. Of all the trees, I am Asvata. Of Deva Rishis, I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitraratha. And of Siddhas, I am the Muni Kapila. Gandharvas are celestials with several good and useful traits. They invoke to safeguard the intoxicating soma juice associated with some forms of yajnas in the Vedic period. They are expert physicians and musicians. They are given to excessive lust and are for this reason invoked in wedlocks. The gamblers seek aid of the Gandharvas, who are inordinately fond of this art. The Vedas set the tune, are expounded by these celestials. At times, they play the role of the preceptors to the rishis. In this respect, Chittarata being the king of these heavenly beings, it is the proper that the Lord claims him as a divine attribute of his. A Muni is he who is constantly established in Japa Yajna. Sage Kapila is one endowed with all these virtues. He is the author of the Samkhya system of philosophy. All right. Samkhya is one of the most uh, primitive, one of the first philosophies that came out of Sanatana Dharma that establishes that Prakriti and that Parusha, that this world is actually a combination of two different forces interacting with one another, and that is nature and this consciousness. Of horses, know me to be the nectar born Ucherasvas, of lordly elephants, Aravata, and of men, the monarch. Now, nectar born, this is referring to that great Puranic story of the churning of the ocean of milk for that nectar, that amrita at the bottom of it. When the Devas lost their powers, their immortal powers, to this curse from this sage, and then the Asuras and the Devas had to work together to churn the ocean with using the snake of Lord Shiva and the top of a mountain flipped upside down as like this thing this thing to rotate and to carve into, like drill into the ocean. And Sri Krishna is pointing actually to that Purana when talking about the nectar born, and actually he will mention more of these celestial boons that came out of the ocean. Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Of cows, I am Kamadak. I am Kandarpa. Of the progenitors of serpents, I am Vasuki. Again, more from those boons that cow that came from the churning, the horse that came from the churning, and many different other boons came from that. And it is describing that meditation when the good and the evil within you is churning away, and all these different boons that come up. And when you pay attention to that Purana, when you pay attention, probably one of the most important Puranic stories to learn and listen to and pay attention to. And that probably requires a whole video to really dissect. Of the Nagas, I am Anata. Of the water deities, I am Varuna. Of the Pitrus, I am Aryama. Of controllers, I am Yama. The practice of self control is called Yama in the science of yoga. Punishment in the form of pain is inflicted on one who does not practice self control. This is the experience of one and all. The Lord of Death is called Yama. He does not deviate an iota of his deal of justice. Life and death are meted out by Yama to beings according to their desert. He is therefore the best among the controllers. This merit comes to Yama from Ishvara. Of Daityas I am Prahlad, and of the reckoners I am Time. Of beasts I am the Lord of beasts, and Vainateya of birds. The Daityas were the sworn enemies of the Devas. Prahlad was the son of the king of those Titans. From birth onward, Prahlad showed extreme devotion to Lord Vishnu, which act of his ran counter to the plan and design of his father. Prahlada is the model of the Bhaktas. Proof is found in him of the fact that great ones are sometimes born of the low It is befitting that he is an attribute of Ishvara. And when he talks about the Lord of Beasts, the lion is the Lord of Beasts. He is majestic and magnanimous in his own way. Because of this prowess, he has become the vehicle of the cosmic mother, who is Durga. The glory of the Lord does indeed reveal himself in this beast. Of purifiers I am the wind, of the wielders of weapons I am Rama, of fishes I am the shark, and of rivers I am the Ganges. To be well armed and to make good and timely use of the arm is the lesson that Rama teaches kings and rulers. Any deviation from this teaching is not for public safety. Rama is an incarnation of God, and Krishna identifies himself with him. Of created things, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle, O Arjuna. Of the sciences, I am the science of the self. Of those who debate, I am reason. Now, this is very important when it comes to understanding our institutions in the modern day. There is no amount of different subjects that is superior to understanding who you truly are. There's nothing. And because the self and understanding creates so much meaning in the world, it actually prevents us from universities and institutions becoming so transactional. And that's what you're starting to see, is that no one really cares about learning. They care more about the grade. They don't really care to debate for reasons sake. They don't care for that. They care about the results of winning. And because of that, reason gets thrown out the door. How our institutions and how we converse and how we interact with the world, how that's slowly being detached from values. Of letters, I am the letter A, and of the word compounds, I am the dual Dvaita. I am verily the inexhaustible time. I am the dispenser facing everywhere. Now notice, of the letters, I am the letter A, and the letter A is practically within everything. It's within all the gods. Lord Shiva, Hanuman, Ganesha, Mahakali. Letter A, the sound is within Om. It's the first part, it's the waking state. And all of that is important. It's all strung together in the Sanskrit alphabet. You start with A and you end with Ha, and then together you have a hum. When you bring the entire alphabet and you loop it into that complete circle, you get a hum. And what does a hum mean? It means the I, it means the self. All the letters in Sanskrit are actually getting to what? To understand the self. Of the word compounds, I'm the dual Dvaita. Because in philosophy, in trying to understand the world, you need language, and language is inherently dualistic. To get to the ultimate truth is impossible without paradoxical language, without things not making sense, because language is the ultimate barrier to that truth. When you talk about Brahman being Sat and Asat, being existent and non-existent, it is hinting towards that idea. And it's the only way to further understanding with this jnana, with books and knowledge and all these different things. But it is the final gatekeeper to the ultimate truth. At the end of the day, you have a subject-object pole. You have some type of localization that is inherent to language that enables us to understand as human beings living in this world. So Advaita isn't just spawned from nowhere. No. You don't get to Advaita magically. You start with Dvaita and it leads to Advaita. And I am the all-devouring death. I am the prosperity of those who are to be prosperous, and of female qualities I am fame, fortune, speech, memory, intelligence, constancy, and forbearance. Notice how much of the feminine is a part of everything, a part of all art, and a part of what I'm doing right now, recording a video and using language and describing things and doing it in a certain cadence and putting it in social media. All of that belongs to the feminine. Doesn't matter if you're a macho man, you got big muscles and oh, I'm so masculine or whatever. As long as you're putting it on screen, as long as you're doing some artistic representation of yourself, that belongs to the feminine. It just does. Fame, fortune, speech, memory, intelligence. I mean, the reason why females are outperforming males in school, that heteronormative separation of the masculine and the feminine within these human beings in that sense is because the female qualities are so great at that ability to be be so diverse as a person and be excellent at diversity. And I also find it very amazing how I am all devouring death is also in this shloka as well, accompanied with the female qualities. Because who is the all devouring death that we know and love? Ma Kali. And Ma Kali, if you don't know this, shares the same bija mantra as Sri Krishna. And not only that, you do have a relationship with Sri Krishna and Ma Kali in Krishna Kali. There is a story where Sri Krishna can turn into Ma Kali. Of the Saman hymns, I am Brihat Saman. Of meters, I am the Gayatri. Of months, I am Margashirsha. And of seasons, I am the flowery spring. I am the gambling of the fraudulent. I am the splendor of the splendid. I am victory. I am effort. I am the goodness of the good. It's not this obtuse idea of, oh, gambling in life. Oh, we're always taking risks. No, no. It's clearly of the fraudulent. So, of all the fraudulent activities where the house always wins, gambling is the best of them because gambling is widely accepted, especially in ancient India, especially in the Mahabharata. There's gambling in that story as well. So, gambling is very much accepted and is part of the Kama and Artha that we're talking about in good moderation and good fun. Of the Vrishnis, I am Vasudeva. Of the Pandavas, I am Arjun. Of the sages, I am Vyasa. And of the seers, I am Usana, the seer. Now he wraps everything up so beautifully. I am this, I am that, I am this. I am also the person I am talking to. So beautiful. He's wrapping everything up in a cute little bow. He's saying that, yes, I am you, Arjuna, as well. That you are the best of the best of the Pandavas. And because of that, I am you. You are excellence. And because of that, I see myself in you, that effort, that spiritual understanding, that completeness. So beautiful. It brings everything together when you say that, yes, I am also you. That monism is there and it is completely coherent. Of the punishers, I am the scepter. Of those that seek victory, I am statesmanship. And of secrets, I am also silence. And I am wisdom of the wise. And whatever is the seat of all beings, that am I, O Arjuna. There is no being, whether moving or unmoving, that can exist without me. Now, we actually understand this in our everyday life. Between a car, between a phone, between this watch, between all the different electronics that we use, what do they all use? They use electricity. They use a singular thing that is common between all of them, and yet they function completely differently. We understand this with technology, and we can actually understand this with people as well. We can actually understand this with the whole facet of existence. That no matter how many different sections of this universe there is and how many different subjects and little particularities there are, it all comes through a singular source. And that is what Sri Krishna is getting at. No matter the device, it still uses something singular. No matter the variety, it's always one. There is no end to my divine manifestations of harasser of the foes. This is only a brief exposition of me, of the extent of my glories. Whatever being there is glorious, prosperous, or powerful, know they have sprung but from a spark of my splendor. But what need is there, O Arjuna, for this detailed knowledge? I stand supporting this whole universe with a single fragment of myself. That to really understand us as Sri Krishna himself, to understand that we are this Brahman, that we have this power within us. It is to achieve excellence. Sri Krishna, again, does never skips a beat. He always says to achieve that excellence. There's no excuse. And the Bhagavad Gita is completely for the person that wants to act in a precise way, in a great way, in a way that makes a difference, in a way that follows dharma to the utmost extent, and not only to the utmost extent, but the utmost skill. Growing up, I was very confused about the Bhagavad Gita because it's always these priests, and maybe they do this shady thing and that shady thing, and maybe they don't seem so powerful. Maybe they seem, you just look at them and they're like, they're clearly there for some other reason or money or whatever. But here we have the Bhagavad Gita. When you actually absorb this knowledge, you see the soldier that needs it. You see that awesome power, that it's for anyone that wants to achieve such amazing heights. And that adventure is finding out who you are through excellence, through practice, through that unwavering identity with the self, through that grind, focusing on him and him alone. It's not easy, but nothing worth having was ever easy in the first place. And ultimate bliss and realizing Sri Krishna in truth and realizing ourselves in truth, that we are not just human, is obviously so worth it. This is the Hindu Conceptualist, signing out.